morning, Radnor friends, fifth graders. Today we're going to tackle a new lesson in our Math and Focus Unit 1, Rounding and Estimating, Lesson 1.4. It is a 2-day lesson, so we will work through as much material as we can for day 1, and I'm sure your teachers will be doing groups the next couple days. We have an upcoming assessment to be determined by your teacher, but just kind of get ready to start reviewing all of Chapter 1, and we'll have some review sessions leading up to the assessment. That's just the long view in the room. Today, we're going to boil down and really focus in on Lesson 1.4. What are you going to learn in Lesson 1.4? These are really valuable math skills, probably the most widely used math skills in our physical world, rounding and estimating. And the way it's presented in Math and Focus at first might seem a little confusing, but when you really start to look at it and think about it, you probably do a lot of this already, and so do your parents. The difference between rounding and estimating, rounding is where you're getting it. Are you closer to 1,000? Or let me say, are you closer to 2,000 or closer to 1,000? Are you closer to 700 or 600? Are you closer to 5,000 or 4,000? That's rounding. When you think of where is the number between two place values? Where is the number between the 1,000 place values? If you think of it on that curve there, and which way would it roll? Is it slightly closer to 1,000, or is it beyond halfway and would go up to 2,000? And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about find the place, look next door. If it's 5 or bigger, add one more. There are a lot of different raps and songs and ways, visuals for it to help you remember how to properly round. Estimating is different. Estimating is where you're just taking parts of a number and you're kind of lumping them off and then putting them together, either using addition or subtraction. Estimating is quicker than rounding, and it's less precise. However, when you get into the idea of doing front-end estimation with adjustment, it becomes a little bit more precise, but it also becomes a little bit trickier in terms of how to execute that properly and correctly. And I know that's something that becomes challenging for fifth grade. So you'll have an opportunity to work on that with your teachers and in your breakout sessions. So rounding and estimating, we're going to take a look at what they look like and how to use them and when to use them. I think that's what's important to remember too. When is it a good time to round? When is it a good time to estimate? So you probably already read through this whole page as I was talking, and I pretty much summarized these skills that we're going to be doing in today's lesson. Now is a good time to get your pencil ready and jot down these 4 vocabulary terms: round, estimate, front-end estimation with adjustment, and compatible numbers. Today's goals are to round numbers to the nearest 1,000, locate numbers on a number line, use rounding to estimate or check sums, differences, and products, and use related multiplication facts to estimate quotients. And this last bullet point is really tied into this compatible numbers idea, related multiplication facts and compatible numbers. So we'll have a little fun. Here's a little story warm-up. For those of you that don't know, our friend, our colleague, our teacher, Mr. Mancini, was a one-time employee of Walt Disney World. So imagine we're going on a field trip to Orlando. He wants to go see his old friends. They're having a reunion. And we're going to have to stop halfway there at a motel. Mr. Mancini needs to find the closest city that is halfway from Radnor to Orlando. The major city closest to the halfway point between Radnor, Pennsylvania, and Orlando, Florida is Fayetteville, North Carolina, situated 458 and 21 hundredths miles from Philly, and 532 and 21 hundredths miles from Orlando. So the question is, round to the nearest hundred, how many miles is it from Wayne to Orlando? And should we get a motel with a pool for some swimming? So how would you do that? If we had to round to the nearest hundred, we would do 5, 32, 21 was how far it was from sorry, I froze there. How far it was from North Carolina to Florida. And I think it was 458 21 from Philly to North Carolina. In this question, it's asking you to round to the nearest hundred. So you underline the hundreds place, 500s and 400s. And it's asking us for the total rounded to the nearest hundred. So 500 to the nearest hundred, 532 is between 500 and 600, right? So the halfway point would be 550. And this is just a quick demonstration. I realize I'm writing on top of some paper here. But this is just a quick, kind of warm up to the whole concept. 530. I find a place, I look next door. If this number is 5 or bigger, I add one more to the hundreds place. If this number is 4 or less, I like to say we'll stay and rest. We'll stay and rest at 500. We won't go down 100. Some kids make the mistake of subtracting 100 off the 5. You never want to go lower than the 500. So your answer is going to be 500 or 600. And 532, of course, would be somewhere in here, which is closer to 500. And then the 458, let me just grab an eraser and get rid of some of this work so I can really focus on the other example here. I'll grab green this time. So 458, if we were in a room together, I would say, what 200s, boys and girls, is 458 between? And you would say, well, duh, Mr. Serpico, it's between 400 and 500. And I would say, terrific, you guys are all geniuses. So the question becomes, is 458 closer to 500 or 400? So once again, we'll use that rounding wrap, find the place, which is hundreds, because it said to the nearest hundred. You look next door. Next door is the 10th place. 5 or bigger, you add one more. 4 or less, you stay and rest. So this is 5 or bigger. This is 5. So that means you're going to want to go add one more. So this one's going to be up to 500. So 458 rounded to 500 and 532 rounded to 500. And I should say, and 21 hundredths in each case. So the total trip in miles from Radnor, Wayne area to Orlando is about 1,000 miles. And then the answer number 2, of course, we should get a pool. Why not? All right. Rounding and estimating. Review rounding numbers to the nearest hundred. Drag this arrow and its number to the proper location. What 2 multiples of 100 are above and below 6,541? And then choose a new number between 6,500 and 6,600 and try it again with this rectangle. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking at the page and I'm trying to figure out what it's asking me to do. 6,541. Drag this arrow and number to its proper location. Well, this is let's be a math mechanic and look at everything we've got here. This box is 6,550. This is 6,451. So 441 rather. So it's less. So if this is 6,500, let me grab a pen. And this is 6,550, and this is 6,600. Then what could these be? If this is 6,510, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah. So if it's going up by 10 each time, this could be 6, 5, 10, 6, 5, 20, 6, 5, 30, 6, 5, 40 is here. Okay. I figured out, I just kind of guessed and thought maybe it's 10. So if this is 6,540, this is 6,550, 6,550, I should say. Then this guy, whoops, I don't want the pen, I want the drag. This guy should be somewhere in here, right? I'll pull that over. All right, now that I've got that in place, this question says, what two multiples of 100 are above and below 6,541? Well, I think I'm going to grab a different color pen. I'm going to grab this. I think this right here indicated the 100 above and the 100 below. 6,500, 6,600. 6,541 is in between. It's almost halfway in between, right? 50 is in between 100. So this is halfway. So this is not quite halfway. It's really close. It's 9 short of halfway. 41 plus 9 would be that 6,550. So I think I figured this out, and I've done this part. I like to check off my work as I go. Choose a new number between 6,500 and 6,600 again with this rectangle. Okay, so they want us to try one more. And I would say 6,541 is closer to 6,500. So this would round this way, 6,500. This would go this way. This would go back to 6,500. And again, let's use our wrap. Find a place. Oh, we're rounding to 100 here. Find a place. Look next door. Is it 5 or bigger? Add one more. 4 or less, stay in rest. So this is a 4 or less, so it's going to stay at rest at the 6,500. But suppose I chose 6,570. So we determined that these are going up by 10. So 550, 6,550, 6,560, 6,570 would be here. Let me clear some of this off so we can really see what we're looking at. And this would be 6,570. And of course, that would round up to 6,600. Find a place, look next door. If that number is 5 or bigger, you're going to add one more. So 6,600. Give it a shove. Give it a shove. All right. Here's another example. Just really explaining a lot of what I did on the last sheet. Take a minute to read over this, see if you have any questions. If you do, jot it down. So they're saying 5 and above, give it a shove. That number 5 is in the middle, and then the middle rounds up. You might try some of these on whiteboards or in your notebook. So complete, use a number line below to help you. Let's be a mechanic and look at the whole page and break down what it's asking me to do. So I've got 8,000, I've got 9,000, I've got 8,500 here in the middle. The number in question is 8,276. The first part is 8,276 between 8,000 and what? 8,276 is nearer to blank than to blank. And then 8,276 rounded to the nearest thousand is blank. I'm going to give you a minute to solve this. So pause it here, solve these 3 or 4 open-ended questions, jot your notes down, and then come back and check your work with me. So you should have had a chance now to solve these. 8,276 is between 8,000 and what? Here it is. What 2,000s is it between? It's between 8,000 and 9,000. 8,276 is nearer to blank than to blank. So it's asking, it's kind of going back to the last question. Which thousand is it nearer to? So it looks like it's nearer to 8,000 than to 9,000. And I'm sure you guys got that one right. 8,276 rounded to the nearest thousand is what? 8,000. Find the place, look next door, 5 or bigger, add 1 more, 4 or less, stay and rest. Let's take a minute to digest this page. Notice how 9,000 and 10,000 are multiples of 1,000 on either side of 9,500. 9,500 is exactly between these two numbers. When a number is exactly between two numbers, we round to the greater number. What is 9,500 rounded to the nearest 10,000? So let me just take some notes here. 9,000. So this is probably 9,100, 9,200, 9,300, 9,400. Sometimes I like to stagger. It's easier to write. 9,500, 9,600, 9,700. I realize I'm not using commas just because on a smartboard, sometimes that gets a little funky and it looks like another number. Okay, so I'm just showing my work. I feel pretty good about 9,000, 10,000, 9,500. I'm going to go back and read. Notice how 9,000 and 10,000 are multiples of 1,000, either side of 1,000. Check. Clearly, I got that. 9,500 is exactly between these two numbers. Understood. When a number is exactly between two numbers, we round to the greater number. So what is 9,500 going to be to the nearest 10,000? So that's going to go up to 10,000. It's going to round up. So you're actually going to add an extra digit place value there. Find a place, look next door, 5 or bigger, add 1 more. Look what happens here. So if you're rounding to the nearest 10,000 and this number only has thousands, if you look at this number, which number is it closer to? You don't have a digit here. So you have to look at the 9. And what's the rule? If it's 5 or bigger, you've got to add 1 more. So when you add 1 more to that 9, that then becomes the 10,000. All right. It's rare that you'll round to a place value that isn't even given. But this was just trying to show you, even though there isn't a digit in the 10,000s place, if the digit you need to look at is the one to the right, in this case, the thousands place, then that's the determining factor. And you could see clearly from this visual model that 9,500 to the nearest 10,000 is in fact 10,000. We're going to break this lesson down into chunks. So today is a good stopping point for the first part of lesson 1.4. Thank you for your attention. And at this point, my recommendation will be to do the independent practice packet, page 11, numbers 1 through 6 at the time you're watching this video. And then I would say work backwards in your packet to ensure the other pages are done. So page 11, numbers 1 through 6. And then if you hadn't finished the previous pages, 10, 9, and so on and so forth backwards, I would work on some of those and check in with your teacher with how you're doing with those. The other thing I would say is think about the terms rounding and estimating and what is the difference between those, and we'll continue to look closer at lesson 1.4 in the days to come. Great job today, students. Looking forward to catching up with you guys tomorrow for our math lesson.